Murder of Tatiana Jefferson has fueled a new push now for the federal government to step in and effect some reform within the Fort Worth Police Department. Dozens of black pastors and community leaders have signed a letter to the U.S. Attorney General today. Jason Allen, live for us now in Fort Worth this afternoon. Jason, this is a strategy used in places like Baltimore. We've seen it in Chicago, even in Ferguson.
It is, Ken, and it is something that an expert I talked to today who has been part of this process in some of those other cities said is really considered something of a last resort for those cities. But at least in this case, there is a group of people who feels that based on what has happened over the last 4 or 5 days, it is appropriate here in Fort Worth. There were probably about 40 pastors and ministers who collectively showed support today for a federal consent decree in Fort Worth. And this is generally when the Justice Department looks at something and believes a law enforcement agency has crossed a line and really can't get back on the right side by itself, and so the federal government oversees the reform process. Pastor Kyev Tatum started pushing for a consent decree here this past summer after another officer-involved shooting, and the Tatiana Jefferson death has given that idea at least some more momentum as this group of leaders does not see Fort Worth making changes on its own.
It says we sit at a table of reasonableness, come up with some reasonable solutions to this, and allow a court to monitor us through a monitor and the federal courts. That, when you do that, that says, first of all, you're committed to long-term restoration in our community.
Now, this case has made international news, so the Justice Department is aware of it. Whether it believes that Fort Worth needs that kind of oversight, that's another question. So we asked that expert today who has worked on some of these consent decree cases in the past to see if it's something that would fit here. We're working on that for another report coming up at 6. Live in Fort Worth this afternoon, Jason Allen, CBS 11 News.
All right, Jason, we'll see you at 6 o'clock for that. Thank you. A federal consent decree, while uncommon, isn't unheard of. 9 months ago, a judge approved a consent decree to reform the Chicago Police Department after the state of Illinois sued the department for civil rights violations. Baltimore police faced a consent decree mandating sweeping changes. That happened back in 2017. The city of Ferguson, Missouri, we mentioned them in 2016. LAPD, Pittsburgh Police as well, and New Jersey State Police, just some of the others who have faced a consent decree in the past.